My brief introduction, very brief introduction. I am Survi Gupta, your moderator for today's session, and it's on behalf of Friends of Figma Kozhikode. I'm a product designer at Microsoft right now, and apart from that, I'm also a mandala artist and a design mentor with more than 10 years of experience in solving the right problems for the right users. This session is streaming live, and we are thrilled to have such a, I would say again, a huge audience for a Friday evening. So thank you again so much for joining us. Before we dive into today's event, let me introduce the fantastic organizing team behind Friends of Figma Kozhikode. We have Mohammed Fawad, FOF community lead and product designer at IOCOD Infotech. We have Hafiz CP, co-organizer FOF Kozhikode and product generalist at Make My Pass. And we have Michelle. He's again a co-founder for FOF and a UX designer at Offway Technologies. This series is I'm so sorry. So yeah, we'll dive into our design spotlight series. This was started some time back, and it's all about like bringing seasoned designers together to share their journeys, experiences, and insights with our community. And yeah, well, AI is advancing. So sorry, I don't know why there's a glitch. Anyways, so yeah, as AI is advancing, quite rapidly, industries are evolving. So there's a big question like, are we keeping up with the pace? So today, our guest, you like help us explore the future of design in a world that's changing faster than ever. He's a true leader in design, AI, and leadership. Originally from Southern Italy, he carved his own path to Silicon Valley, as we just heard from him. He's working with Microsoft and has worked before in Toyota, Google, and many more, impacting millions and driving over $1 billion in revenue growth. As a human AI experience leader and founder of Lyft Leaders, he's super passionate about not just building great products, but also great leaders. So, yeah, please welcome Silvio. And yeah, thank you so much again, Silvio, for joining us. I know it's early morning. So, again, really appreciate your time. And we are super excited to hear from you. But before that, would you like to share more about your journey so far into design?
Of course. First of all, thanks for having me. I would say a social ciao in my own language, Italian language. Welcome everybody from wherever you are. My stretch to this morning is much easier than yours. If you're in India, I truly appreciate you staying late to watch this and participating and joining us. I want to trying to wrap this up very quickly because I don't want this being about me. It's about us. And I would say that I was born in this a little town where definitely UX design was not a thing, not whatsoever. And as I always say, it's much easier to find information or discover more about something that that exists than discovering the unknown. Right? You can go on Google and just searching for something that you don't know that exists, right? How you make that discovery process working. And that's why I truly prototyped my life. I wanted to experiment multiple things. I used to live in 9 different countries before landing in California in the United States. And I fell in love with this place for many reasons. We can dig into it later if somebody's interested. And my portfolio is like a puzzle. It's a puzzle where every piece, it doesn't really fit together. And that's the beauty of it, in my opinion, because it makes it unique. So what it means is I wanted to experiment different industries because I truly believed that in order to disrupt and innovate in a space, it's important to understand what's going on around of you, even in industries that not necessarily are the same that you're working in today, right? We are seeing how Apple re-envisioned completely the store experience, for example, over the years compared to any other e-commerce and in stores worldwide. And that was like my motivation is going to be like, I say to myself, I want to like disrupt, I want to innovate, I want to really like have the opportunity to push the boundaries forward. In like, of course, in my full-time job, I work as a design leader currently at Microsoft. Like, and by the way, this is a scoop. We didn't know each other before this. First
Yes.
time, I know that nobody will believe us, but that's the reality that we met for the first time just a few minutes ago, right, Surbi? You
Yes.
can confirm that, right?
Very much, yes.
That's true. And I lead currently the Power Apps mobile and Power Pages team. We basically are re-envisioning how we shape the opportunities for businesses to engage with their customers. And how we do that, we have like a low code, no code platform. We have AI acceleration. We can dig into that later. I don't want to be trivial with too many times talking about AI. And most importantly, I on the side, I still feel my passion towards to education. So I teach at Stanford, UX design, at Berkeley, same thing. And I spend tons of time hoping that many other people can get unstuck in their life and career, and really lifting themselves and the others in order to build something that they're really passionate about for their own journey. That's me in a nutshell. But more than happy to answer any additional questions that we may have or curiosities that comes from the audience later on.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Silvio, for introducing. And I want to pick this, question. I think this came from the audience, and you talked about, leaders, right? So you founded Lift Leaders to help people, get unstuck and pursue their dreams. Why do you emphasize the word leader in this context? Like, what does leadership really mean to you beyond traditional roles and titles?
For me, like this is something that I've learned over time. It's like leadership or being a leader is not associated to a title necessarily or to a job role or profession itself. There are some leadership traits that are critical for yourself to really like unlock your full potential. And when I say unlock your full potential, it's truly like recognizing the potential in you, in other people's, in other ideas, and you have the courage to take that opportunity forward, to bring that opportunity forward. And what I've seen is like over the years, like there are tons of people and human beings that every day accept whatever is acceptable at that point in time for themselves and for their life. And I always say, like, one of the things that people brings to me very often is, yes, Silvio, but this is just a job. It's my 9 to 5 kind of job, and I will not agree with that kind of philosophy, because 9 to 5 job, it means still 65% of your time. 65% of your time in your life is such big chunk of your life. And so like my motivation that it was to, and it is today, to really like cultivate full that leadership skills that may help those people to creatively design their path forward versus just accepting how it is. That doesn't have nothing to do necessarily with like leading a team or leading a project or being a leader on your job. It's like really showing that leadership traits that may really like help you to shape the best product that you may ever shape, that is your life and your career. And notice that I say life and career almost like close to each other again, because my philosophy is that whatever job you're doing, that's a big chunk of your life. Is nobody's going to give you back that 65% of time if you made the choice to spend it on something that is not meaningful to you.
I agree. I so well agree. And why I started with this question, I love this. I've asked this so many times to my mentors, to my managers, and they have also, tried to at least imbibe some part of it inside me that you become that person first before you get that title. So, and plus, when you talked about, work and life, I think what we learn. Helps in both the sides. It's not like what I learn in work, it's not helping me. You become that person. Yeah, completely agree. Love that.
And I will,
I Yeah.
sorry, before we jump on the other one, right? And if you think about it, it even happens when you're designing a product, for example, in a B2B space versus a B2C, right? Many people thinks about, oh well, this is a B2B product, so we should be like looking at this like from thinking about our customer base and like all the legacy and the complexity of it, and like we come up with solutions that in some way are reflecting the state of the world. But then when you zoom out and you step back, you realize that the people that may use those products are the same that when they finish working, using your B2B product, are scrolling TikTok, are scrolling Snapchat, are in like how you can even think that those people have like container in their brain and say, okay, this is like this is now my work life and this is like my life.
Yeah.
If you ever seen it, a series on Apple TV. They don't pay me for this advertisement, but they really like share like an interesting. I don't remember the name. I can share later, but they share an interesting concept of like how an experiment where people practically they live in those two different worlds. Like this is like my work. This is my life, and their connection in their brain, it doesn't exist. So they forget completely when they are in their life, what they are doing in the job, and vice versa. It's an interesting series, and I would suggest you all to watch it to understand what I'm talking about.
Nice. So we have a weekend suggestion, folks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely make a note of that. I wanted it's a connecting question. So definitely because you have led so many initiatives across the startups. You have your own startup. Any like key valuable lessons that you want to share with the audience that you have learned from your experience while you were navigating these diverse environments?
I mean, like, the first thing that comes to my mind is like leadership is contextual. So what it means is like whatever works in an environment and not necessarily will work in another environment. And I want to get into the details of this even further. I made mistakes, tons of mistakes in my career, in my life. That even like when you are like in a company, in such a big company, it could be Microsoft, or could be Google, or could be any big size company. We in some way like we think that the culture or the way that the organization works is all the same. It doesn't matter in which team you are in. And that's not true because it's made by people. And when it's made by people, there is a layer of complexity that you can control, but you need to understand it in order to be successful. And so my biggest learned lesson was that, whatever worked in a specific setup, it could be like, a specific startup, is still like, is not like you can't apply whatever you learned in a startup in a specific stage in another startup. You need to look at, what are the people involved, how those people are coming together to build something, to discuss, right? What are the cultural differences that are happening, like communication style? Yeah, look at my body language. Everybody will understand that I'm Italian after 2 minutes, right? Like I move my hands all the time, and why that matters? It matters because at the end of the day, that's how you influence, and influencing is one of the biggest skill and one of the most important skills that you need to work on in order to really like sharpening your leadership opportunities. And that's like something that over time it was like it was super important for me. Every time that I join a new team or a new organization, I try to step back observing the dynamics behind the scenes. We do like quantitative research and qualitative research. It's almost understanding why things happens in an organization before we even come with a solution. And that's like has been even the most interesting part of my career so far, because otherwise, you just reinvent the wheel, right? And nobody wants to spend the entire life reinventing the wheel. Like, human complexity brings that layer of randomness in some way and newness in how you can, really lead the way in a new environment. And I can go on and on, but this is like the first thing that come to my mind. Really contextualize where you are. Don't feel that every place or every situation, even if it looks similar, is identical. Similar is different than identical, and it may not work. And I want to wrap this up saying that, that applies even to your career. There's one thing that, one mentor and coach told me a long time ago: whatever brought you here will not bring you there. So what it means is there are things that made you extremely successful in a specific stage of your career that not necessarily are setting up the foundations for you to get to the next level or to whatever you want to be. And we need to acknowledge that. Otherwise, we keep repeating the same thing. And you don't know how many times people come to me and say, "Oh, it's 20 years that I'm a senior designer. I don't know, every time that I apply, I need to be a senior designer. I would love Silvio to." That's a question that we need to ask ourselves. And that's valid in any profession, not just in design. It's what else we're missing? Are we setting up, everything ready for us, for ourselves, to move to that next level? And how people perceive us, right? Are we sharing to them that we are extremely good about something? And so that means that they will keep asking us that thing, but that thing may not be relevant to your next stage into your career. But that's just some food for thoughts that maybe we can unpack even further if there are additional questions.
Love that approach. In fact, not just similar people. Every day we behave differently. For every product, everything we think differently. We can't have a same approach to it. So I love that. And plus, I think we were having a discussion recently. I was just doing it with my colleagues, and it was I can say that okay, the new generation that is coming, or the new designers that are coming, even they are coming with a different set of approach, different set of process. So you just can't apply that. Okay, this is how it is done. No, we might have to change that. Love that.
That's going to be another interesting thing. Maybe we can touch upon that. You say something interesting stuff around new generations of e-commerce designers and what that means and what that may mean for design and how design is evolving. But we will get there.
Sure. I want to touch base upon any suggestions or tips when it comes to, because it's a biggest mindset shift from being an individual contributor to being a leader or an entrepreneur and in design. So any tips for the audience how they can navigate that?
I would add something to this question because it's an easy question otherwise. So what it means is becoming a leader in some way, if we don't add a qualitative adjective to it, it's very easy. So what it means is I can be a bad leader, but still being a leader. So we have a very successful bad leaders that are successful in no way, right? I'm not going to say any names here. We even had an example of visionaries, people that really impacted the world and society in so many ways that I will not necessarily define as a good human beings or kind of human beings. So let's start from the fact that in order to be successful and in order to be successful as a leader, you don't need necessarily to be a jerk, and you don't need to be necessarily being a kind person. You can be either way, but you can still be successful. So if the question is around like what that great leadership means, in my opinion, definitely like, is the empowerment aspect of things from when you are an IC to when you're like more unlocking the potential of others is a key shift. And it's not easy because you need to delegate without having control. And delegating without control, especially for people that are very hands-on, it's a very, very difficult. It's like, wait a moment, I don't think that's like, I think that I can do that better. And I'm like, if I'm leading this team, I still put my face there. So I would love to control and making it better. You need to step back. And you need to understand that that's like a journey for your team, for yourself, especially like if you're early in career and you're making that transition. The empowerment and the delegation aspect of things is gonna be super critical. And it's one of the most, seriously speaking, the most difficult ways, for you to really scale. There is and I say these things that is very trivial and naive. There is no way for one single individual to be successful if you are not successful with your team. Like I truly believe it. And again, that means that you need to be necessarily a good leader or kind leader, empathetic leader. No, I saw even leader doing something different but still being successful. I hope that this society will build more good leaders and empathetic leaders, especially in this new AI revolution that we are experiencing, where we truly need that empathetic approach and that grounded approach into human beings and needs for our society. So in going back in a very practical way, delegation, empowerment, influencing, those are three elements that are super important. And in my day-to-day job, and you may be familiar with this, we use like three different pillars. One is like generating energy, delivering success, and driving clarity in order to really fuel and grow another set of leaders and showing like some good leadership model for the rest of the team.
Yeah, I love that. I'm making note of it. I am soon gonna it was today only. We have a person on the team, and anyways, we'll talk about that. You talked about AI, so do you want to add more on like how current product designers can use their skills to basically future proof their career, especially in this AI driven shift or the world that we are seeing?
I'm gonna say something very controversial here. Many people will not like me after this answer, including like my colleagues and my peers and other leaders worldwide. I don't think that we did something good to the world when we started to standardize and creating a box around the design as a function. So what it means is like, design is complex by nature. It's grounded on the culture, like that you're in, your history, and there are so many facets into it that when we started like creating a box and saying, "Oh, this is design. This is a design function," in some way we were defining something that even as being in this industry for a while, it's almost impossible to align on because like it's so complex to really like surface all the elements in design that matters for different human beings in any places in the world. It's completely different when you talk about product management. That's a function. Everybody will understand that. But when you talk about design, I suggest you to ask anybody from Europe, what is a good design, right? Or from Italy, what is a good design? And now like you ask the same question for people based in the United States of America. What's a good design? What's a bad design? Yeah. So that's why it was impossible for us influencing companies at scale. The design needed to play an important role and a critical role because it became a box, it became a function. And for me, design, like just as FYI, and I'm going to answer your question, but that's an important context. Design is truly like a mindset in itself, and how we evangelize that mindset may allow us to build, yes, better experiences, better customer experiences, better connection, emotional connection, and future looking connection with the society of tomorrow. But that's not a function. And if you put that box in, it's very difficult to really understand how to still be successful moving forward. Why? AI may definitely like accelerate some shift happening in the industry, and we are seeing it, in any job role or functions, like from product management to engineering to data science to, and I want to be very specific, Gen AI, because AI has been there for a while, and even Gen AI has been there for a while, but we are talking about it in the last few years. And what I want to say is, like, on one side, we are seeing these accelerations to have like a more blended roles. Blended roles means that there will be engineers that will be able to compensate their skills with some design and creative design being generated in order to, like, test out some ideas, building some prototypes that have a better look and feel. And the same things may happen on the product design side, where people can now, right, iterate faster on potential ideas. But guess what? They even can come out with prototypes that are live and can be really like, shaping and showing what that experience looks like. But guess what? That's happening even for product management. Technically, they can now compensate their skills, right, in order to make it happen. Now, when you look at this work and you see that companies are accelerating to cut costs, to increase productivity, and so on, you may expect potentially a world where those functions may blend a little bit together more. We need different ways to come together, working on data models, what that means defining, a data model for any AI native product that we're going to build tomorrow, how we ground that towards to like human beings, and so on and so on. So there is like a shift happening to the scope of a potential designer, to the process that a potential designer is going to be, involved in. And then there is a third element that, in my opinion, we're going to see. So far, like, you had a good experience in design, you had experience like, building products in B2B, B2C. That was like pretty much good enough in order to join a company. Now what we are seeing is like there is an hyper specialization in a specific domain, or having a subject matter expertise. So what it means is, like, if I'm like working in a healthcare for 10 years, I'm really adding value to all the other elements that AI can just accelerate in, right? We can be like really controlling that quality. We can train that quality of what we are like, designing for. And that experience, that expertise is going to be, again, in my opinion, another like superpower that's going to be asked to many professionals, not just designers, in order to bring value to a company, to an organization. But before I let you like continue in this, it's like I want to share provocative questions with everybody. It's not too much about where design is going. It's more about is you asking yourself which role you want to play in that world, and if that role is still aligned with your core values. Because at the end of the day, is like we all become designers or whatever we are, job-wise, for a reason. And that reasons may be slightly different with each other. And if that core values are not aligned anymore to where the industry is going, it's okay to question yourself. I'm still want to be like relevant. I want to be there. I want to be one of those people shaping the world in that way. I still believe in it, or I don't, or maybe I create something different. So that's like, I know there was like much broader answer, but that was like a difficult question though.
No, I agree. And if anybody wants to share any thoughts on the question that Silvio shared, please, you may raise your hand, or you may just unmute and we can give a couple of minutes for it.
Yes, please. Even somebody that doesn't agree. That would be nice.
Go ahead, Divya. I can unmute if you're not able to. Go.
Hi, Silvio.
Hi.
So I have a question that's a little bit bordering on what we just chatted about, but also slightly different. You said if the core values that you have as an individual or as a designer don't align, you can sort of make your own decisions about it as well, right? And so I'll give you just a little context. When I was in the US, one of my professors, Barry Cates, he also teaches at Stanford. He used to teach at Stanford. He gave me this book called The Plentitude by Goldrich, and it's about this like abundance that we're creating in the world as designers and as creators, and how there's also sort of chaos we're creating with it. So it was like a design philosophy thing, and then it now just accelerates with AI, right? It's kind of terrifying. So when I moved back to India, I joined Google, and I felt like philosophically, I was not still feeling it. I didn't feel like I was contributing. We were just sort of making more of the same stuff. So I quit. And now I'm trying to be a design mentor and also a leader. So the place I've arrived at is design philosophy, right? Is shaped by so many things. How, as a leader of design, as well as a designer itself, do we share this? How do we be like, do we just want to keep making more stuff? How do we like figure out what these values are and share these values that actually shape our world into a better place? So I'm wondering, as a leader in design, how do you navigate that? What comes up for you?
Oh, I love that question. Let me say that let me use this analogy briefly, because you mentioned like now with this like we're really shifting from a society of consumers to a society of creators. And we're going to experience that even farther, right? In the next 10, 15 years, 20 years with Generation Alpha and so on. And when I see it, I bring it up like my Italian roots, and I say, when there was a fast food in America, in Italy, we were building something called slow food. So now, is a slow food better than fast food? Question mark. I'm not going to give that answer, otherwise I will be biased. But definitely, like, we designed enough for convenience. Like slow food, it was not convenient. Right? It's not for, of course, for that, right? But there's value into it. And fast food was like convenient, right? And there's a value to that too, right? It's just convenient. Now, when we go back and we zoom out and we look at design in itself, right? I honestly don't believe that we still need to like coming together necessarily trying to define what is the role of design and how design as a design, like labeling the wording design in order to really push society in a better spot tomorrow. Because when we do that, we start standardizing a way of doing things. And look, you work at Google, and I'm sure that here we have representations from many companies. You know better than me that what like people from Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Meta, or whatever it is, what they do every day is like telling to other people, oh, this is how you build the perfect portfolio. This is how you do this, and this is how you do. And we created YouTube videos, and we do like, right? So every time that we do this, we are standardizing stuff that is much complex than that. We are trying to put the box, right? And I don't feel that society necessarily will benefit from design if we keep doing it. Is we are engineerizing, like we are using engineering, mindset in order to like standardize design. And guess what? Like we say every day that our role is humanizing technology. And so we're doing exactly the opposite of what we are communicating inside and outside of the companies. And people are still shocked. In 2019, I don't know the latest research, so I'm like 5 years old on this. But many years ago, in 2019, I did the research with Envision, and we were looking across, they were looking across the entire global spectrum of organization and enterprises. And the question then was like, we were trying to understand how they were leveraging design. How the design philosophy were playing a role into those companies. And then we realized that just 5% globally of companies leverages design at the strategy level. Like all the other 95% were in some way, at a production level and there are like different gradients, right? What that production level means, right? It's not just pushing pixel. Of course, there are like many gradients there, but the reality is, and that's what I was saying to all the other, team members and people that I met over time, is not a random or a lucky case that just 5% get there. It's like that took those leaders, those design leaders, evangelizing, building that kind of culture from day zero. We have founders from Airbnb, like coming from design, or you had a Apple philosophy in some way that was extremely impacted by design, but that required tons of effort. And if after 20, 25 years, then we are talking about the same thinking still, I can't believe it. We don't ask yourself a genuine question, and we say to ourselves, did we like make really like an impact from a design industry in how we are shaping organizations and enterprises worldwide? How do we truly like changing the way that those companies are looking at design? And my question has a one answer. Unfortunately, we didn't do a good job. And look at this. I say the we. I didn't say like they. We, because we play a role into that. And so I want to wrap this up saying that I will not spend any of my time, even with other design leaders, trying to define what that next version of design may look like, because I'm the last person that wants to create another box for design moving forward.
Love that. Divya, do you have any follow-up or any comments before we move on to next?
No, that was fantastic. I love that view that you sort of painted a picture of. That's great. Thank you.
Of course. No, thank you for the question. That was a great question.
I think we have some comment in the chat. Backing on your point about the bounding box in a way, don't you think products and design seem to be reaching maturity, or is that just an outside myth?
Can you say again? I missed the last part.
So it says, don't you think products and design seem to be reaching maturity, or is that just an outside myth?
I feel that it's more like an outside myth in some way. Like, what defines maturity, right? Like, what the maturity really like looks like, and who defines that scale? That's like where like we measure things when we work together, like with our, in our teams, in our organization in itself. I use this approach, right? When we work together with other functions, trying to build better customer experiences, I see this being like almost like a pie chart, where each function in some way is contributing to that pie chart. And in order to have the best success, the pie chart needs to be fully represented. What that means is, like, if I have 100 points, that those are like the points of this pie chart, each role in each pod, each function is depending on the project, depending on the expertise, the skills of each individual, are contributing differently to that pie chart. Sometimes the design individual is going to bring like 30 points, product individual is going to bring like 50 points, and the rest is on the engineering side. But other times it's going to be different. Design is going to contribute more. So what it means is like that maturity point when we build products in itself is not something that necessarily is easy to align on across organizations, across the industries, across teams in itself. I honestly don't think that that thing is going to be still in that way, like moving forward. I have like one slide that is slightly related, but can I share briefly my screen?
For sure, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. This is like not necessarily, but it gives you a sense in how I'm looking at things overall. Sorry, yeah. Tell me if you're able to see this.
Um, it is loading. Yeah.
Yes.
I can see it. Yeah.
Okay, so like this is like what I'm referring to, right? Even in our day-to-day things, we all are in a box. It doesn't matter how big that box is. We can push those boundaries as much as we want, but still it's a confined box that we live in. And now the point is, if we believe that everybody around of us or the spaces around of us is made by other boxes,
Oh, nice.
smaller or bigger than they are, the point is like how we move away from our box in itself, ideating and jumping, in other words, that we don't explore every day, and really making that ideation being meaningful for the products that we're working on for our career, even when we're ideating about our career path. And one thing that I want to mention that some people get stuck on in their life and in their career is like, it's okay to generate bad ideas. So what that means is like, a while back, I cut my salary by 43%. And I moved from, one country to another country. I had all my family not necessarily aligned with that, as you can imagine. I said, why are you doing that? Here, like, even an interesting trick. What I used to do in order to understand if I was getting out of the comfort zone, if I was really like thinking out of the box, I was questioning my closest group, the people that knew me better, and asking, about what they thought about an idea that I had. If they were telling me that that was a good idea, most likely I was not moving away from the comfort zone. So what that means is
Wow.
like people that grew up with you, that spend time with you, they have, potentially big overlap in how you think. Of course, they're going to label good ideas for good ideas in the same way that you do. So what it means is that potentially you're not stretching enough in order to really understand what's going on. And it was interesting because now the trick is well known by my friends. When I ask you questions, I don't have the same power. Now they know the trick. But why I'm saying this, sometimes even in your career, it's okay and it's important that you generate something that is labeled by the rest of the world as a bad idea. Because that gives you really the opportunity to jump and have that bigger leap towards the good ideas that are more aligned with where you want to be one day, right? In that path forward. And it's very uncomfortable. It is. And not everybody is like, it builds that kind of mindset. But when you learn it and when you see that it's working, I may tell you that it's almost fun, because at the end of the day, it's like you have just like the best product that you may shape is your life. You don't have control on so many things, but you have a control on a few things. And every day that you delegate that control to somebody else, that's a huge waste. And I want to close this up just saying that those are all the boxes that we were talking about, right? Like, when I say boxes, even around the sign, it's even about ourselves. You could have one vision in your life. It should be in some way, I don't remember here. You could have like your journey, and you could have like, one vision for yourself. And if at any given point in a timeline, you have a vision for yourself, and that vision may evolve, as we know, right? Like, Serbi or Divya or all of you don't have the same vision, over the years about yourself and where you want to get. But if we imagine that we have like a journey that is like over time stretched, at any given time, you have a purpose. You have a purpose that you have defined. Guess what? There are many ways to satisfy that purpose. And many people get stuck on one single trajectory because they believe that that's the only way to be happy. But no, what makes you happy and connected with your own self is the purpose. It's not how you get to the purpose. There are many other ways to get to the same purpose. And that's what I'm trying to advocate for your career, for your life, how we look at design. We have this power of really thinking out of the box. I was making a joke a while ago that in Silicon Valley, everybody talks about this, right? Thinking out of the box. And guess what? Nobody tells you how to do it, right? It tells you, you should be thinking out of the box. But what do you mean? How do you do it? And nobody answered. And I interviewed somebody a while ago, and I gave this exercise that you all know, I'm assuming, how you connect those 9 dots with 4 segments without ever pulling away from the paper your pen. And guess what? 99% of the people will not be able to solve this exercise. And they will just go in the dots trying to connect. It didn't work. Why? Because they didn't think that they could go beyond those 9 dots that I was representing on a paper. And that's the most powerful skill that we all have as a creative individuals and as a human beings. You better use that not just to build products digitally, but building the best product for yourself that is your career and your life. So I'm going to stop sharing, but just to give you a little bit of context.
Hello.
Oh, you lost me?
I can hear you. I think your video, now we can see you. Yeah. Love that approach. I think I'll think on this a lot over the weekend. I love that box thing that, okay, sometimes the idea which you are thinking right now, and also love the way you put it forward that, people around you, if they are saying, it's a good idea, it's not really. Till they say you are mad, I think you should go ahead with those ideas for which they say you are mad. Love that approach.
It gives you seriously speaking, gives you the opportunity when you talk with your closest people. That's a suggestion that I give to everybody, even to that really needs a change in their life and their career. If you keep asking the people that have been closer to you for so long, that's a good way to mirroring some of the biases that you have. And that's even a great tool for yourself to understand that maybe you may use that information still in a good way in order to understand that maybe you're still in your comfort zone and there's so much that you still need to explore.
Love that. I think considering the time, I just want to, touch base. I think it's related also. So many designers, struggle still with the self-doubt or imposter syndrome. How can, design thinking help overcome these challenges, or any other way by which they can, overcome these challenges? And I think it's not just for designers, it's for everybody.
Everybody, I still do after many years, doing this work. Sometimes I ask myself, right? We have one thing that we stretch and we practice every single day that is approaching to problems and finding solutions for it. If you look at the imposter syndrome not as a weakness, but as a challenge to be solved, and you break down in steps things that you may do over time to overcome that feeling, that becomes a much more digestible problem to be solved. It's easier to say, harder to do. And my approach, for example, when that happens is, and it's connected to the concept of success, by the way, I don't believe that success is landing on a job at Microsoft or Google or whatever it is. I'm very far away from that definition. And each individual may have their own definition of success, but my definition of success is the delta that those individuals have done from where they start from to where they are today. So the kind of gap that they overcome, right? That gives you a sense of how much growth some people experienced versus other individuals. And when you think about it, right, and you think about the imposter syndrome, I always reframe that kind of feelings towards to the fact that I question myself and I remember myself where you were before, where you are today. What are the things that you overcome? What are the things that you still need to overcome? And that grounds me back to like still with the humility and being humble, but reminding myself, like, almost like saying to your shoulders, no problem, you did a good job,
Yeah.
right? And you will do good even in the future. It's okay. Everything that happens to
Yeah.
you can make it happen. You may solve it. And so I believe that element of reminding ourselves how we define success for ourselves may truly be connected even how we are capable of overcoming some challenges, including, that self-doubt that we all have, an imposter syndrome that we all have, during our job. So that's my way of facing it.
Love that. In fact, I used to do one activity because I came from very low confidence, I never used to, talk to people and stuff. So I used to put post-its that, okay, pink post-its are the gaps that I have or the anxieties that I feel. And yellow ones were like, okay, this I can do, this I'm confident about. So it kept me grounded as well. And I used to keep pushing my pink post-its to yellow once I could, do that. So it was like celebrating or, rewarding yourself on every small thing that you could achieve. Again, like you said, pat on the back, self pat on the back. So that really helps. That, okay, it's not a big journey. Okay, I have
Absolutely.
clear screen.
Yeah, I wanna share this to you because like a while back, I needed a way. Like I was changing. I told you I lived in multiple countries before landing in California, US, and I needed a way to easily understand how I was doing. Right, I was feeling about. Feelings are one of the most difficult ways. Right, it's very difficult to identify feelings, emotions. Right, and so I say no. I need to come with a framework that is not overkilling. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. And so what I've done is like I just created this like simple representation saying in 30 days, what was the prevalent feelings for me in the 3 different moments of the day. But it was not too important knowing like evening, afternoon, or mornings, but it was more like it's zooming out and say, how many black spots you see here? Like, is more prevalent like, negative feelings or not? And when I was doing that, I tried to do this like once every quarter, every 3 months. The interesting things is like you could slice and dice this information by, for example, city that you were in. I did this exercise when I was in London versus when I was in Brussels, Belgium, versus when I was in Stockholm, Sweden. And you can see the different feelings, right? And then you can then question why I was feeling that way. Like what really like made that difference for myself. And that's where like, I went in and I say, okay, now my positive power, right, Surbi, that you were mentioning about. And then I say, what really brings me like positive feelings in that moment, right? Versus what really bring me like negative feelings over time. And that was like, technically is like, it gives you a sense of understanding that there are external triggers that you can't control. But you have a way to build an attitude that really can find positive benefits in any negative experience that you have. We all, I'm assuming most of us like lose jobs, lose people that we love, or like we had like really like impactful experiences in our life. Are we not still here today? Are we not like, so
Yeah.
that's like something that again I use over time even to empathize more with myself, and that helps even to overcome other challenges.
Love that again. Love this activity. I think Divya's hand is up. Please, Divya, go ahead.
Hey, I have another question. And this is related to what you just said about feelings. Sometimes I wonder if design as a profession now or as a process even has started to become a little more cognitive and less feelings ish, we'll call it. And so even when I'm helping with mentorship, I sometimes wonder because the questions will be, how do I do this portfolio piece, or how do I, and it's quite disembodied. And I'm wondering, how can we bring back more embodiment and feeling, like staying in the body rather than going to a cognitive place in the design process? Do you have any thoughts around that space even?
Oh man, I'm going to say something very, very controversial here because most of you went through this journey, most likely. Everything starts like on the question around like, how did we all land here as a designers? Like, we come from different journeys and backgrounds, and education plays a role. Our family plays a role. Our own experience, like who we encounter, who we talk with, who we work with, plays a role. We had, like, I don't know, the amount of boot camps that have been created in the last like 10, 15 years is impressive in some way. And already, like, sharing a concept that, follow like 4 weeks of this and you will become an it doesn't help. Not because I'm against stuff. I don't believe that conventional education is the only way to be a designer, no whatsoever. I don't come from that journey either. So it's more about, like, I believe that we need to reinvest in how we shape education, how we like bring people in. And especially, I will repeat this, if we all do something that we are more proud of and we're more happy with, definitely that has a ripple effect with our communities, with our people around of us. And so when we go on the job and we sit at a table and we're working on a product, it's much easier that those people still maintain some of those core values in when they think about, okay, now is the time, right, to build like a product for our businesses in order for them to scale like cloud solutions. It's easier for them to bring in that conversation, the human aspect of things, the core values, right, that are still relevant for them for a better society. Then there is a more practical, concept. There is how we align good human intent with business profit and business impact. That's like where there is a real meat. Okay, now that we built like a better leaders, better designers, better version of ourselves, how we still identify and understanding that sometimes there could be a gap between what the business wants to be profitable as a business and what we as a society we should be doing. And that's like, again, like I truly believe that we should be like more spending time in education and resources in education, or giving the opportunity to people to look at those tools, using those tools in order to build better leaders, better individuals, better designers, better version of ourselves. And I may have like some frameworks as well to align business and but that's it's another conversation, and I don't want to take too much time.
Again, love that. Divya, I'll let you share if you have any thoughts or any follow-up questions on this.
No, that was great. I'd love some frameworks on this, which I'll catch up with you later for.
Awesome. I think, Silvio, I would have loved if we would have, taken hours and hours for this discussion. But considering the time, we'll have to wrap this up. Thank you so much. This was super interesting, and I'm sure the audience would have also felt the same. I definitely had like wonderful takeaways and food for thought. I'll think upon, especially those box things. I love that. And yeah, huge thank you also to the FOF team for organizing this. Again, thank you so much, Silvio.
I wish you best of luck for your career, for your journey, and my best wishes are for you to really do every day everything that is possible to align your core values to what you do and finding really fulfillment. That's my best wishes for all of you. And if you have additional questions, you know where to find me.
Thank you so much. Really means a lot. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, folks.
Have a wonderful night and a wonderful weekend.
Same to you. Yeah. Bye-bye.